Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome. I like to talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays, and today is a little bit different. We have a combination of things. Today we're going to be talking about some recommendations, so what I've been watching on my queue, and then also some Blu-rays that I picked up in a Blu-ray haul. And so I want to showcase both of those. And so September is a weird one because it is a lighter month in the terms of the acquisitions that I picked up. But it's also in terms of like what I've been watching. It's just been really busy. There's a lot of things going on, and so I'm just in queuing up for October. I'm very excited for that. But there's a few things that I've been watching, and I wanted to showcase that with you today, and also talk about some of the things that I picked up. So September, there's a lot of things going on, and then also there's some things that I haven't shown you yet that I'm really excited to later on. That is in the works, which is another reason why I have kind of a lighter month here with the terms of things that I picked up. But let's actually just jump right into the movies that I watched, and some of them are recent things that I've recently picked up, and so it was good to finally sit down and watch those movies. And then also some of my acquisitions are some rewatches, just upgrading to better versions of them. So let's drop right into what I've been watching for the month of September. All right, so the first film that I want to talk about is from 2002, and it is one of the latter Joel Schumacher films, and I just recently talked about this actually too. It is Phone Booth, and Phone Booth is starring Colin Farrell. We have Kiefer Sutherland in it, and Forest Whitaker as well. And this is a movie I just really kind of recently had on my radar because I was recently on an episode of Schlock and Awe, which is a great podcast with my good friend Lindsay. I was able to talk about two Colin Farrell films. We talked about In Bruges, and we talked about the Fright Night remake. And part of her segment in that podcast is talking about some trailers you would play before some of the movies. And Phone Booth was brought up, and I realized I hadn't seen Phone Booth, so I needed to amend that as quickly as possible. I picked this up on Hamilton Books, and I'm sure it's still there. It's a cheap Blu-ray, and it's a lot of fun. It's really tight. This movie is only 81 minutes, so it's a very short film. Obviously, the location is all in a phone booth, and so I highly recommend it. It's got a lot of great action involved with it, even though obviously there's not much action until things kind of hits the fan, really. But there's a lot of just fun dialogue with it, and a lot of tension that's just building up. Because Colin Farrell is more or less trapped in this phone booth. If he steps out, he'll get killed. And and so I'm just going to say it from that angle and kind of save some of the story for you to watch it if you haven't seen it. But I was late to the party. I might be the only one who was late to the party. But Phone Booth, have you seen it? Let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. All right, so next is a film that my good friend Steph was recently just watching this movie chatter. She mentioned that she was watching this, and I just realized that I had it on my shelf for about 4 or 5 years. That's insane, and it's crazy that I haven't seen this. This is from Alexander Payne, who I've only recently seen some of his films, like The Descendants, as of late. I watched Sideways a long time ago, but I'm talking about Nebraska right here. In Nebraska, you just have Bruce Dern right there. That's the most memorable face here for this. But you also have Will Forte in this film. You also have June Squibb, Stacy Keach, and Bob Odenkirk as well in this family where it's more or less centered around Will Forte, kind of taking care of his dad, and his dad who's really just kind of lost his way. And it's in beautiful black and white cinematography that is shot for this film in particular. And I don't know, I quite enjoy it. And it reminds me, because this movie is about a family that's in a small town, kind of Midwest, and honestly, it kind of reminds me of my dad, and also the families that he grew up in a small town in the Midwest in Missouri. And I could definitely see some of my cousins and second cousins that I know having some similar experiences, or at least similar situations and environments. And I don't know, it just hits home a little bit. I'm definitely of the cousins, I'm the city kid, so I'm definitely a little bit of an outcast in that regard. But this is such a great film, and Bruce Dern does a fantastic job of really just being like, what? All the time. Because he's like just maybe like kind of going in and out of listening to what people are talking to him. And honestly, you can really kind of tell with him. He's really just kind of playing the family a little bit, and the whole, like, if he's really paying attention and whatnot. But it's a really fantastic film. It'll pull on your heartstrings. It's one that don't sleep on this. If you haven't seen Nebraska, I certainly recommend it. And yeah, this is definitely one of the greater, one of the latter Alexander Payne films. I've seen Election, like I said, and The Descendants and Sideways. Those are some of the films that I can enjoy and can also champion for if you need to watch an Alexander Payne film. So Nebraska is no different. It's a great one. It's another great, to his filmography, and I highly recommend it. So if you've seen it, let me know in the comment section down below. All right, so next is actually I finally finished this box set, and I've been tackling these box sets for the last year and a half. So it's been a while and a long time coming, but it's been such a fun journey, and I finally finished the second season of this. I'm talking about ESPN's 30 for 30. I watched season 2, and I think there's like 4 or 5 seasons now. It's insane, and I don't think they release them on physical disc anymore, which is really, really sad, because these are really, really fantastic films. They're all great documentaries, all sports documentaries, and I know I can watch them on streaming services. I have the access to them, I think on Disney Plus, ESPN, and even Netflix has a few probably as well. I know they have their own kind of 30 for 30-esque show called Untold, which I highly recommend as well. But even if you're not a sports fan, I think there is a lot of merit to a lot of these movies, and I think it's really crazy. I've heard this story so much when I talk about these films with a lot of my friends or people I don't really know, with just acquaintances, and I mention a film, and I get a lot of the responses of, I just watched this, one ESPN 30 for 30 on, Formula One racing, or on, maybe the Tour de France, or on tennis, and I have no interest in those things, but the film is just so good that it kind of just sucks you in because of the story, the humanity that's connected to it, and all these athletes and the struggles that they're going through, and a lot of the things that they do to overcome these things, and also some of the stories are just really absolutely crazy. See like O.J. Simpson, for instance. Also, O.J. Made in America, very, very great ESPN documentary, which I also highly recommend. Not in this set, but yeah, this has really kind of just colored my world on a lot of sports stories that I'm just highly unaware of, because I wasn't a sports fan until really recently. And so if you aren't into sports, I would still recommend watching some of these. You can watch them on most of the streaming services, like I said. I would definitely recommend checking out a few, especially if you know, like, maybe just a little bit about something. Like for me, it was like basketball. That's my sport. That's my thing that I like the most. And so watching The Last Dance on Netflix was definitely an eye-opening experience for me to really kind of jump into these kind of sets, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, the 30 for 30 set, I haven't really mentioned what I watched, but there's so much films, and there's 10 discs in this set right here, so there's 30 films in this particular set right here of season 2. I'll kind of look at the last ones that I watched. But recently, what I finished watching was these last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 films. Yeah, last 5 films, like the U Part 2, which is the first U, the U, which is about a great Florida football school, an infamous Florida football school, college football. Miracles in Men, which is talking about the Russian, the Soviet Union, USSR hockey team in 1980. And that time period, which I think the movie Miracle was actually the U.S. side of it all. A really great basketball documentary, I Hate Kristen Lautner, which is about the Duke player and how much people don't like him. Soul Man, which is the guy who made Air Jordans and really signed Michael Jordan to and also the NBA to all of these different shoe deals, and that became such a big deal. And then Angry Sky, which is about a skydiver, Felix Baumgartner, and his epic skydive from space in 2012. So this really runs the gamut on the different types of things you're going to see. And so, yeah, that's just 5 of the 30 films. And so I finally watched all of it, and I highly recommend it. Like I said, if you're not a sports fan, still check it out. If you are, these are exactly what you want. So, yeah, ESPN 30 for 30s. So happy that I was able to watch all these movies. Excited to check them out again later on, maybe in some, later on down the road when I've got a lot of my watch list out of the way. And I also want to check out some new ones on, on the TV, on some streaming services as well. So yeah, check it out if you haven't. All right, so moving right along, we're going to be talking about a Criterion. This is actually a recent addition to the collection. This is Spy number 1073. It is from 2003, and it is one of the most talked about films of the year to be released from Criterion. I'm talking about Memories of Murder from Bong Joon-ho. I have been a fan of his work since I've seen Snowpiercer back in the early 2010s. And I haven't looked back since, and honestly, I'm a big fan of what he's done, and this is actually his second feature, and yes, I'm late to the party, but I'm super excited that I finally was able to watch this amazing thriller of a detective story where really the police is, they're kind of highly suspect looking for their serial killer that is going around and killing women, young women in this town that really just... kind of just this unknown, and you know, there's a lot of really fantastic things on this film, in particular with the special features, and also just talking about the themes of the film, and then just a lot of the things that go on with the mystery of it all. And so I don't really want to talk much about it if you haven't seen it, because it's certainly worth your time, like watching and checking out as going along with it. But I'm pretty sure I'm one of the only people probably watching this right now who hasn't seen it, and so I finally was able to check it out, and I really, really loved it. So some of the special features: this is a new 4K digital restoration, and it also has 2003 commentaries featuring Bong Joon-ho and members of the cast and crew, with a new commentary from Tony Rons. I haven't heard the commentaries yet, but I did watch a Guillermo del Toro interview talking about the film itself, and also there's one with a new interview with Bong Joon-ho and about the real-life serial killer who inspired the film, a documentary from 2004 on the making of the film, deleted scenes with optional audio commentary, a new interview with film scholar Jeff Smith on the use of sound in Bong's work, and Incoherence, a 1994 student film by Bong. I have seen most of this. I haven't seen the student film, and I have not seen or listened to the commentaries or watched the film itself along with the commentaries. But the special features in this set are fantastic, and I really, really liked it. It's a really great set, and I'm really happy. It's a 2-disc Blu-ray set, and it also has this awesome film essay and artwork that is connected to it. And yeah, let's see, who is this written by? This is written by Ed Park. And so, really great stuff here. I wish this was a little shorter because it fits in this case a little weird. Regardless, I'm really happy that I was able to check out this classic of Korean cinema, and I am very, very happy to have watched it now. What are your thoughts on Memories of Murder? Let me know in the comment section down below. All right, next is another Criterion addition to the collection, one that was highly talked about, and one that I recently picked up that I finally was going to check out in October, but I was informed it really wasn't much of a horror film, more of a noir. I probably could have watched this in November, but I wanted to check it out because I wanted to watch the new Del Toro trailer of Nightmare Alley. But this is the original from 1947. This is Spy number 1078. This is directed by Edmund Goulding and starring Tyrone Power, Joan Blondell, among a great slew of cast here. This is a really, really fun noir, and a very unique noir in a carnival setting of a man who kind of is a con artist and really just descends into madness, and you kind of see cons gone wrong, and also just the life, and you really feel for this guy, even though he's kind of a POS, and so there's a real humanity to this character and all the characters that are around him. And honestly, it's one of those special films, one of those special noirs. Like I said, it's really, really unique because obviously noirs kind of look at things in a very bleak light. And I have a feeling, at least with this film, for me at least, there was a slight glimmer of light in caring for these characters in this film, even though some of them are really kind of just conning people left and right. So I don't know. For this, I really enjoyed it, and it was certainly one of those films that I have not seen a noir like this. Another cool thing about this one is that it has awesome special features in here, and it actually has cards right here, some tarot cards from the characters who are involved in this film too. It also has Helen Walker in it, Taylor Holmes, Mike Mazzacuri, and Ian Keith, who are also starring in this film. So here are some of the tarot cards right here. You obviously have Death, right, which is the classic one right here. We have the Star. We have the Wheel of Fortune itself. We have the Magician. We have the Hangman, which is a very iconic part of this film, and we have the Emperor right here. And all these are characters within the context of this film. So it's really creative that Criterion was able to put these tarot cards together, and also good timing for this movie because, like I said, there is a new adaptation from Guillermo del Toro that's coming out, and the trailer looked really fun. And also, it's not a horror film. Just to let everyone know. Ahead of time if you haven't checked that trailer out. At least, I mean, obviously I haven't seen the film, but this movie isn't a horror film, and I think Del Toro even said it's not going to be like a horror film. It's more of a noir mystery, kind of just a con, right? And the carnival is the backdrop for this film. But anyway, I really, really liked it, and I recommend it. And so when November comes around, I'd say pick up Memories of Murder and Nightmare Alley, because I'd say it would be up your alley. Right, last of the films that I had watched recently, and the most recent thing, and I've just been diving deep on the special features because there's a shit ton of special features on this disc. I finally watched David Cronenberg's Crash from 1996, and I have the 4K right here from Arrow Video, and man, oh man, I did not expect that. So I had a kind of a general idea of what this movie was going to be about: sex and cars. Not sex in cars, but like sex and cars, and the collision of the two. And these hypersexual characters, or at least this is the sexual, I don't know how to describe it. It's the sexuality of these characters in the context of, cars that collide, and really just kind of sees the combination of that. It's a movie you really can't describe to somebody else, except for like maybe that's the best way to describe it. It's more of something that you can kind of tap into as you're watching it, and kind of see it from that angle. And that's what I would recommend for this film if you haven't seen this movie. I've also, once again, I feel like I'm late to the party on this one, and it's definitely a movie that had my interest like awoken, I guess, watching this movie. And honestly, I'm kind of fascinated by the whole thing and the whole world that David Cronenberg's creating here. And I loved it. And honestly, this might be a good starting point for me to kind of exploring Cronenberg's past work. I know more of his recent stuff. I've watched a lot of the Viggo Mortensen films that he has done. History of Violence and Easter Promises, and trying to think. I've seen The Fly, of course, with Jeff Goldblum, but I haven't seen terribly too much of Cronenberg's work. I know I'm getting there. I'll watch Scanners and Videodrome sometime, but Crash was a really good film to kind of introduce me, getting me back interested in to this world, and it's a very different angle from Cronenberg. And I just really love, I'm starting to like his work a lot more and more. And the special features on this disc are stupid, how many special things. There's a 4K restoration of the uncut NC-17 version of this film. It's a very sexy film, just a FYI. Supervised by director of photography, Peter Shusitsky, and approved by director David Cronenberg. 4K Blu-ray presentation with high dynamic range, 5.1 and 2.0 stereo master audio. We have audio commentary with film scholar Adrian Martin, interviews with the DOP. We have the executive producer Jeremy Thomas, composer Howard Shore, and casting director Dietra Bowen. Those are all fantastic interviews. 2019 Q&A with Cronenberg and actor Viggo Mortensen at TIFF, and that was a lot of fun. I loved that, and I love the banter between Viggo and David. That was a lot of fun. 1996 Q&A with Cronenberg and source novel writer G. Ballard, and at the National Film Theatre in London, and that was actually a really fun conversation too. That's another thing too. This is an adaptation of a book from the 70s. And, Cronenberg and Ballard work really, really well. And Ballard was really happy that Cronenberg developed this. He couldn't see anyone else do something like this. So that was a lot of fun to listen to that. We also have Architect of Pain, the Cronenberg Project, a video essay by Calum Vesnell on Cronenberg's use of architecture and location. That was a really great essay, I think from Arrow themselves, who crafted that visual essay there. Crash is a 1971 short film, originally broadcast as a part of the BBC's Review series. starring J.G. Ballard, and loosely adapted from his novel from 1970, The Atrocity Exhibition. It also has 2 short films inspired by Ballard and novel Crash, Nightmare Angle. And it also has 2 short films from Cronenberg himself. So this is packed with so many things, and there's a few other things that are on here. I watched a lot of it, and I've just been digesting it. I'm really curious. I want to watch this again. I want to watch the commentaries and listen to those, and that'd be a lot of fun, honestly. But yeah, Crash, it's a movie that like you have to just jump into. But anyway, I digress. I'm gushing over this movie. I had a lot of fun with it, even though it's fucking weird. So, but anyway, now we're gonna jump into what I've picked up for the month of September. So I have a lot less to talk about. All right, so the first film that I picked up, actually the last, I have this in the opposite pile. So the latest thing that I picked up finally came in. This was on sale finally. This is The Father right here. This is starring Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman. And I've been wanting to get this one for a bit. I heard some good buzz. I remember at the Oscars, I think Anthony Hopkins, did some good work here on this. This is actually a Sony Pictures classic, which those films don't really steer me wrong. So I know I'm going to go for a really good drama here. And it was on sale for a good price. So if you can check out this, The Father, I say pick it up now because it's on sale for a good price. And yeah. It's a Academy nominations, 6, including Best Picture, according to this. But not that that really should steer you to these kind of films. But I just really like Anthony Hopkins, and I love Sony Pictures Classic. Those are kind of the reasons I picked this one up. Has anyone seen this one? Let me know. Next is a film that I wanted to pick up, but it took a while for me to get it. This is actually a redux, actually, of The Godfather 3. And I'm talking about The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. And yeah, I haven't seen the third Godfather in a long time, and honestly, it's been a while since I've seen the first 2. So I have a feeling that I think around maybe sometime in November or December, I might go through the Godfather films again and watch the new one. And this new adaptation right here, approval, stamp of approval from Coppola. And so I'm very excited about this one. And yeah, I don't know much about it. I just have heard this is definitely a better edit and edition of this movie from the people who have seen it and have talked about it. So I'm excited to watch it. Next is a film that I've seen countless times and is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And a lot of people have already talked about it. And I'm actually saving this movie for October. Can't wait to watch it then. But I finally picked up the 4K of John Carpenter's The Thing, which is an absolute favorite of mine and definitely it's definitely my favorite horror movie of all time. Good God, this movie is just perfect. What can I say about it? I'm just excited about this 4K, and I'm excited to see what it looks like. Yeah, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the 4K a little bit later on down the road, but I know a lot of other people have mentioned it. I know Jeff from Films at Homes has done a review of it, and he said it's incredible. So, that's good news. So if you haven't seen The Thing, what are you doing? Just turn off this video and go watch The Thing. All right, so these next 2 films are actually recommendations that I got from my friend Steph, Movie Chatter. One of them, she just recently talked about this one. I think she talked about this with Cinema Dave on a live stream together. She talked about this Monster Collection documentary right here. And this has actually got 2 documentaries, The Frankenstein Complex and Phil Tippett, Mad Dreams and Monsters right here. And this is all about creature design. It's set up as like a double feature, and it looks like it is a portrait on the genius behind many of the most iconic movie creatures. That's on the Phil Tippett side of things. The Frankenstein Complex looks at a profile of special effects wizards who turn rubber and latex and resin into world cinema's most memorable and terrifying creations. So it talks to Del Toro, Rick Baker, Paul Verhoeven, just a bunch of people talking about stop motion animation, early CGI. I'm just super excited about this. As a fan of a lot of stop motion stuff like Ray Harryhausen and Carol Zeman and the like, I'm a big fan of it. And also I'm getting more and more into 80s films and 80s horror. So I know this is gonna it's going to be something I'm excited about to watch in October. So if you haven't checked this double feature out, it's really cool. I am super excited about this, and I want to say thank you to Steph for kind of getting this an eye-opening documentary for me to check out, because I'm excited about it. And the last film I'm going to mention right here is actually, it's still in the shrink wrap, so it might give you a little bit of a glare, but this is another thing that Steph talked about. Riders of Justice with Mads Mikkelsen. I don't know much about it. It looks like a dollar bin movie, but apparently it's really good. According to a lot of my friends, they've enjoyed it. So if you haven't checked this one out, I picked it up just on a whim based on the recommendations of my friends, and it's got Mads Mikkelsen, and it looks like it's a revenge flick, and so I'm excited for it. And then the last thing I'm going to do is a surprise, but if you're looking at the thumbnail, it's not going to be a surprise. I've been going through Mark Cousins' The Story of Film, that documentary, for the last few weeks, and I've been falling in love. I'm on the last episode, and God, I cannot wait to finish it. But also, I want it to stop because I wanted to keep going, right? But I actually picked up the book right here. This is the newest edition of The Story of Film by Mark Cousins. I think this edition came out. This is a revised edition right here. Well, if I can get the book information, I want to say it was, well, okay, it won't tell me the thing in the front cover, but this is a newer edition, I know, recently, I think 2020 maybe, but this is an exciting book, kind of just as a companion to, the documentary itself. I think the book came out first before the documentary, so this is really just chronicling, filmmaking from the early days, the 1890s, all the way up to now. And super, super excited about reading this, and this will be a good companion to watching that documentary series, which I really, really love. And also, if you haven't checked out that documentary series, go pick it up on Network. Go support them. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was a little bit long-winded, but I was excited to talk about a lot of different things. So hopefully you saw what I have been watching, and hopefully those are some good ideas and give me some thoughts on what you think about the films that I've been watching, and also give me some thoughts on the films I haven't seen yet. I'm definitely curious to know what you think about them. I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a like, share, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.